Thank you for joining this edition of News Today, a series where we briefly discuss and analyze important news of the day. Without delay, let's explore the headlines first. BharatGPT Group led by IIT Bombay is going to launch Hanooman, a ChatGPT-like service. First private sector facilitates for manufacture of ammunition and missiles opened in Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh. The Supreme Court asked the centre to ensure women are granted permanent commission in the Indian Coast Guard. 13th Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization began in Abu Dhabi. SECI commissioned India's largest battery energy storage system in Rajnandgaon, Chhattisgarh. ECI signed MOU with Indian Banks Association and Departments of Posts to enhance voter outreach. Starting with the first news, BharatGPT Group led by IIT Bombay is going to launch Hanooman, a ChatGPT-like service. Let us first start by talking about what is the Hanooman model. Hanooman is a series of large language models that can respond in various Indian languages like Hindi, Tamil and Marathi. The Hanooman model is expected to work in 4 fields, including healthcare, governance, financial services and education. Now let us understand what are the large language models or LLMs. LLMs are deep learning models that consume and train on massive data sets to excel in language processing tasks. They have the ability to create new combinations of text that mimic natural language based on its training data. The training data includes usually large data sets, including Wikipedia and open web text. Further talking about the applications of LLM, they can be used in the medical sector for the tasks like protein structure prediction that can uncover patterns in disease and predict outcomes. In the retail sector, they can help provide enhanced customer experiences through dynamic chatbots. Moreover, it can help write software and teach robots how to do physical tasks. In the finance sector, it can help to summarize earnings, calls and create transcripts of important meetings. And lastly, in the marketing sector, it can help organize customer feedback. The development of LLMs also faces several challenges. Those include significant capital investment, large data sets, technical expertise, large-scale compute infrastructure which is necessary to develop and maintain the large language models. Moreover, the sourcing of quality data sets in Indian language is a major hurdle in developing LLM in Indian languages. Lastly, let us look at the difference between the generative pre-trained transformer versus large language models. A GPT is also a type of LLM that uses deep learning to generate human-like text. They are called generative because they can generate new text based on the input they receive, pre-trained because they are trained on a large corpus of text data before being fine-tuned for specific tasks, and they are called transformers because they use a transformer-based neural network architecture to process input text and generate the output text.
In another news, first private sector facilitates for the manufacture of ammunition and missiles opened in Kanpur, UP. It is opened in the Defence Industrial Corridors DICs of Uttar Pradesh. The other defence corridor is in Tamil Nadu. The defence industry sector was opened up to 100% for Indian private sector participation in 2001. Let's understand the need for privatization of the defence sector. India is third largest military spender after US and China and the world's largest arms importer, as per the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute report. The share of the defence budget can be reduced, which currently stands at 13.04% of the total government expenditure. Surplus production will boost defence exports and would help to achieve the set target of 35,000 crore of exports by 2024-25. But there are a few security concerns, like protection of sensitive data at the hands of private companies, selling weapons to customers who are not aligned with India's national interest, and more. Moving on, these are the government steps for promotion of indigenous defence production. Priority to the procurement of capital items from domestic sources under Defence Acquisition Procedure DAP 2020. Liberalization of foreign direct investment FDI policy by allowing 74% of FDI under automatic route. The launch of Innovations for Defence Excellence IDEX scheme. Lastly, the Srijan portal to facilitate indigenization by Indian industry, excluding micro, small and medium enterprises. Further, let's learn about a related news, that is Defence Research and Development Organization DRDO handed over summer assessment certificates to 9 industry partners. About summer, System for Advanced Manufacturing Assessment and Rating Certification. It is a benchmark to measure the competency of defense manufacturing enterprises based on a maturity assessment model developed by the Quality Council of India (QCI). It is applicable to all defense manufacturing enterprises and valid for 2 years. It is an outcome of the collaboration between Defense Research and Development Organization and QCI.
The Supreme Court has asked the centre to ensure women are granted permanent commission in the Indian Coast Guard. The permanent commission means a career in the defence forces till the time of retirement. Before we start, let us get a brief understanding about the Indian Coast Guard. Headquartered in New Delhi, the Indian Coast Guard was established in the year 1977. It works as per the Coast Guard Act 1978 under the Ministry of Defence. The Indian Coast Guard works for the safety and protection of artificial islands and the offshore terminals. They provide assistance to the fishermen in distress. They work for the preservation and protection of the marine environment. And lastly, they assist the customs in anti-smuggling operations and safeguarding exclusive economic zone. Coming back, let us talk about the importance of women in defence forces. Women in defence forces uphold the values of equality and allow equal non-discriminatory opportunities at work in line with Article 14, 15 and 16. Women in the age of cyber warfare and digitally equipped weapons can handle weapons efficiently, further promoting the talent pool and recruitment. Women can act as role models and mentorship by inspiring young girls to pursue careers in traditionally male-dominated fields. Women can connect the local populations, especially in societies where cultural norms may limit interactions with male soldiers, which can further help in humanitarian and peacekeeping missions. Women in defence forces also faces several challenges like gender stereotypes and biases, physical standards, discrimination and harassment. Moving on, let us also have a look at the background of women in defence force. In the year 1888, the role of women in the Indian Army began in Indian Military Nursing Service. Previously, the Army Act 1950 prohibited the recruitment of females into the army. Moving on, in the year 1992, the Army, Air Force and Navy began inducting women as short service commission officers outside the medical services. Finally, in the year 2020, the Supreme Court passed landmark judgment for the Secretary, Ministry of Defence, V. Babita Punia and ORs to grant permanent commission to women.
In another news, 13th Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization (WTO) began in Abu Dhabi. Ministerial Conference is a topmost decision-making body of the WTO and usually meets every 2 years. It brings together all members, including countries or custom unions of the WTO, and can decide on any matters under any of the multilateral trade agreements. Let's look at the key highlights of the 13th Ministerial Conference. Comoros and Timor-Leste acceded to World Trade Organization. India has opposed mixing non-trade topics like gender or micro, small and medium enterprises with WTO rules, as it can lead to greater trade fragmentation. Additionally, such non-trade topics are already under discussion in other relevant international organizations. India also expressed serious concerns regarding increasing use of trade protectionist unilateral measures sought to be justified in the guise of environmental protection. Other concerns of India associated with WTO are plurilateral agreements. India opposed China-led Investment Facilitation for Development Agreement (IFTA) proposal as investment falls outside the mandate of WTO, and India is against plurilateral pacts on multilateral platforms. Public Stockholding PSH Program. India wants a permanent solution for the PSH program. At present, developing countries' food subsidies are protected by the Bali Peace Clause negotiated as a temporary solution. Moratorium on customs duty on e-commerce. Since 1998, WTO countries have agreed to not impose custom duties on electronic transmissions covering both goods, such as e-books and music downloads, and services. India opposes extension of this moratorium as it benefits developed countries at the cost of developing countries.
Moving on to the next news. SECI commissioned India's largest battery energy storage system in Rajnandgaon, Chhattisgarh. Let us first start by talking about this commissioned project. SECI's 40 megawatt or 120 megawatt per hour battery energy storage system will store solar energy when the sun is shining and using it later during hours of peak demand in the evening. It is funded by the World Bank and Clean Technology Fund under Innovation in Solar Power Hybrid Technologies project. Before we start, let us first understand about the Clean Technology Fund or the CTF and the ISP and HT project. The Clean Technology Fund was proposed in 2008. It seeks to promote scaled-up financing for demonstration, deployment and transfer of low-carbon technologies with significant potential for long-term greenhouse gas emission savings. It further funds projects in developing countries. For the Clean Technology Fund, World Bank acts as a trustee. Moreover, the ISP and HT seeks to demonstrate the operational and economic feasibility of utility-scale innovative renewable energy technologies and battery energy storage system. Now let us understand about the Battery Energy Storage System or BESS. A battery energy storage system is an electrochemical device that charges or collects energy from the grid or a power plant and then discharges that energy at a later time to provide electricity or other grid services when needed. This storage system is helpful in improving the grid stability, enabling large renewable energy integration to further bring down the peak deficits, meeting renewable purchases obligations that mandates DISCOMs to purchase a minimum percentage of electricity from renewable energy. And lastly, it also helps in reduction of carbon emissions. Various initiatives have also been taken to promote battery energy storage system. By allowing battery energy storage system to participate in the high price day ahead market or the HP-DAM segment of the energy exchange, promoting viability gap funding scheme for development of 4,000 megawatt per hour of battery energy storage system projects by 2030 to 31. Waiver of interstate transmission charges on battery energy storage system projects commissioned up to July 2025. The National Program on Advanced Chemistry Cell Battery Storage for Giga Scale, and lastly the bidding guidelines for battery energy storage system.
In another news, Election Commission of India (ECI) signed an MOU with Indian Banks Association (IBA) and Department of Post to enhance voter outreach. This comes in continuation of the Election Commission of India's efforts to enhance electoral awareness. Recently, ECI also signed an MOU with the Ministry of Education to integrate electoral literacy into the educational curriculum. Systematic Voters Education and Electoral Participation, that is SWEEP, is a flagship program of ECI for voter education, spreading voter awareness and promoting voter literacy in India. Let's understand the need for voter education in India. Supreme Court in People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India 2003 held that voters have a right under Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A to obtain information about candidates contesting elections. Next, the insufficient turnout. Around 30 crore electors out of 91 crore did not cast their votes in the general election to Lok Sabha 2019. Thirdly, the significance of inclusive democracy. Critical in enhancing participation of women, youth, Divyangs, marginalized sections in elections. Lastly, the need for informed and ethical voting, necessitated due to prevalence of misinformation, divisive propaganda, fake news. Further, these are the steps required by ECI to promote voter education. Promoting critical thinking among voters to move beyond voter turnout to uplift the quality of votes casted. And encouraging cooperation with civil society organization CSO. Like CSOs can help voters inculcate practices of fact-checking. In today's Place in News, we will discuss Hungary with its capital, Budapest. Hungary's parliament approved Sweden's NATO accession. Let's discuss its political features. It is a landlocked country in Central Europe. It shares border with Slovakia, Ukraine, Romania, Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, and Austria. In terms of geographical features, the relief is dominated by great lowland expanses, including Little Alfold, Little Hungarian Plain in northwest, and Great Alfold from southwest to northeast. Its highest peak is Mount Kekes. The major rivers are Danube, Tisza. Famous lakes are Lake Balaton, Neusiedler Lake, and the climate remains moderately dry continental.
As we conclude today's main news, let's take a look at some quick updates. Recently, the Income Tax Department has raised a demand of Rs 210 crore in penalties from a national level political party for discrepancy and delay in filing the returns. Section 31A of the IT Act 1961 exempts the political parties registered by Election Commission under Representation of the People Act 1951 from paying income tax. For exemption, parties must fulfill some conditions including maintaining books of account and other documents for their accounts are audited as per the law. Exercising power under the Information Technology Act 2000, the central government amended the IT Procedure and Safeguards for Interception, Monitoring and Decryption of Information Rules 2009. Its Rule 23 mandated every record, including electronic records of interception, monitoring or decryption of information to be destroyed every 6 months except in a case where such information is required or likely to be required. Mauritius government has decided to amend the Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement with India to comply with the base erosion and profit shifting minimum standards of the OECD. Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement is a tax treaty signed between two countries for the elimination of double taxation. India's first septic tank and manhole cleaning robot, known as Homosep Atom, developed by the startup Solinus, reached 16 cities. The Solinus was incubated in the Department of Science and Technology Business Incubator of IIT Madras. The Homosep Atom is the robotic solution integrated with artificial intelligence to inspect, clean and manage confined space for sanitation purposes. Translation Health Science and Technology Institute and IIT Madras researchers have developed the India-specific model to determine the age of a fetus in a pregnant woman in the second and third trimesters, precisely known as Garbhini GA2. The Garbhini GA2 is a part of the Interdisciplinary Group for Advanced Research on Birth Outcomes, Department of Biotechnology India Initiative Program. Union Minister of State for Electronics and IT launched Investor Information and Analytics platform has been developed by IIT Madras. It will act as a one-stop shop for startups to seamlessly access venture capitalists and investor networks and government schemes. Entrepreneurs can search for information on government agencies, incubators, investors, and venture capitalists. Kerala initiated Operation Antimicrobial Resistance Intervention for Total Health or AMRIT. It is a program enforcing H1 rule, mandating a doctor's prescription for acquiring any class of antibiotics. H1 is the Drugs and Cosmetic Rule 1945, which was amended in 2013 to incorporate a new schedule H1. Researchers have reported Down syndrome and Edwards syndrome from prehistoric skeleton remains dating up to approximately 5,500 years old. Both syndromes are trisomy disorders wherein individuals have an extra copy of the chromosome. Before we go, it's time to put your knowledge to test in today's segment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you have enjoyed this edition of News Today. To get the answers to today's quiz and to download the PDF of News Today, make sure to check out the links in the description below.